This absolute behemoth is the UCS 8080. With over 7,000 pieces, retailing for over $800, it is by far my biggest and favourite set in my entire collection. But despite being arguably the best LEGO set of all time, there's definitely some cool things we can add and tweak and change to make an even better set. It's going to sit front and centre in my brand new LEGO room when we do move in there in a couple of weeks, so we better get started on the build. So of course the first time and the most prevalent time that we see the 8080 is on the Battle of Hoth. So that's what I'm going to be basing this entire video around. I'm going to be making a full Hoth diorama by the end, but the first step to doing that is by building an awesome Snowspeeder. Now where would an 8080 be without the ragtag group of rebels and their Snowspeeders trying to take them down? Now granted, there are a couple of cool LEGO sets that LEGO have made in the past, however there was no option for me other than the beautiful minifig scale Brick Vault custom version. Now this is a set of instructions, so we can head on to Brick Vault's website and pick up their instructions, head over to a website called Brooklyn, create a new wanted list, import the files, and we are ready to go and order our pieces. And once this arrived, I quickly sorted all the pieces and began assembling this beautiful model. Now it has a ton of different techniques in this one. It really is another level from the regular LEGO sets. It's really cool to see what these amazing designers managed to put into these LEGO sets to create the cool shapes and angles of these iconic Star Wars vehicles. Now this isn't my first minifig scale Brick Vault model. I've built many in the past and this one definitely holds up to those other ones. These are phenomenal models and I really do love them. The build process was really good fun. There are a few challenging elements, but I really enjoyed putting it together. Make sure you're paying attention to the digital instructions that you get, because you really need to follow this step by step exactly to the T, otherwise you're going to have a few problems. But otherwise it looks beautiful. There's even a cool winch that comes out the back. However, the one thing I would say is don't order exactly the pieces that they tell you to order. One thing I would swap is the screwdriver piece at the back. I ended up paying about £5 for that piece, so there's definitely some better options, including Harry Potter ones and things like that, because I wouldn't recommend spending £5 on one tiny little screwdriver piece. Other than that, it's a fantastic model and I think it looks really good on top of this clear display stand that I made. I just put it together using a couple of really big clear pieces with a hinge on top, and I think it's going to look really good once we add it to the final model and help it look really dynamic when we pose it between the 8080 legs. Now we have our 8080 and our Snowspeeder and they look beautiful next to each other, but the next step is to do some upgrades and tweaks to the actual 8080 itself. So we're going to start by adding some beautiful light kits that were provided to me by Laylight Go, an awesome lighting company that offers a wide variety of custom lighting kits to add into your LEGO sets to bring them to the next level. Now we began by adding some lights into the head. This is where the main section goes. It starts with those guns at the bottom, these sort of rotating cannons that sit below the head. Now these look awesome. We added a couple of little red lights into these ones, and then of course we added a couple more into the front section, sort of eye section I guess you could call it. After this I had to string the lights up through the neck and into the main body of the set. Repeating this, I also went through and added in some lights into the actual center of this section so the drivers can all see their controls nice and easily. Bag number 3 meant moving on to the main body of the section of the 8080 now, and this was the cool part. So we added in lights all throughout the entire 8080, lighting up the whole section, and this will look fantastic, especially when you open that small porthole that opens in the side of the 8080. The final light I added was into this top section here, and this just added a couple of lights looking forward to the front of the 8080 under those grills. Now this light kit did come with a few extra lights to add onto the legs and the feet and stuff like that, but I didn't really think that made sense with regards to the actual set, so I decided to omit those. But just to let you know, this is how the set would look if it was fully lit up. Now all that was left was to wire in the battery box. Now I decided to put this in the back section of the 8080, so you can see I'm just putting it in this section and it almost fits perfectly in here, and then I just had to connect it up and then remove it to add a couple of batteries. These are just AAA batteries and it works perfectly to light up all these lights that we've added into the model. Now onto some actual set modifications, and we started by changing a couple of the colours that are looking a little bit weird when it comes to the actual set. So there's a couple pieces that are poking out that just look completely the wrong colour. I have no idea why LEGO actually let this make it into the actual final form of the set. I get it when they use different pieces in the centre to make things easier to build and understand where everything is, but it just looks really weird. So we decided to swap them out for just some grey pieces, and they just look a hell of a lot better, and you can see I repeated the same thing over on the other side as well. Now with those tiny little quality of life changes done, another small one was Luke Skywalker down here. So I really don't like the fact that he was included with black hands in this set. Everyone knows that the Snowspeeder pilots actually had white gloves on, so you know I've got to change that, and I actually did the same thing with the pilots that are in the Snowspeeders as well. So again, don't know why LEGO did this, but it was easy to correct nonetheless. Okay, so now with those great changes made, it's time to make a diorama to fit this on. So now I have this base right here, which is from my Endor mock that I recently made. I want to create this into a fully snowy diorama, so I think I'm going to extend it by 2 more of these big green 16x16 plates out to the front, and then we're going to sort of tile it off with loads of snow and stuff. It's literally just wide enough to hold the 8080 and look pretty good in my new setup when I do move to my new LEGO room. So I want to kind of get this done. So with that being said, let's hit the time lapse and start building up this small diorama. The main problem for this section was working out exactly where the feet were going to be, so I started by sort of going around the outlines and then removing the 8080, putting it back on, and so on and so forth. But I ended up giving up with that strategy and ended up just kind of bending the foot up anytime I wanted to move it or work out where anything was going to go underneath the feet. So it probably wasn't very good for the structure of the 8080. It's probably going to fall apart in a few years time now, but it definitely saved me some time whilst I was building. And once I got the first feet in place, I started to move on to more in the center section, adding in some footprints where the snow tuber was running and things like that. And then I moved over to the second leg, lifting it up slowly, adjusting it, adding tiles underneath it, and making sure the snow looked like it was slowly piling up around the feet and having little indents into the actual snow itself. With 2 feet done, I just continued this pattern up the center section and just used basically a mixture of square 2x2 tiles, 1x4 tiles, as well as 1x2 tiles, most of which I found in my local Lego store on the Brick wall, which was pretty useful. I also found 1x2 curved slopes, which is honestly incredible for this as well, so this is perfect. I definitely didn't have a shortage of pieces to work on this mock. So that's our progress so far. I'm really happy with the way it sort of slightly sinks into the snow. I guess with hindsight, I probably should have made the snow a little bit thicker just so I could then have a bit more depth around the feet and stuff, but I think it looks pretty good, to be fair. And I've now done all the feet as well, so we can now move on to this section over here, which I've got a couple of plans for. First, I want to quickly show you these nice footprints and things like that I've got into the mock. I'm really happy with those. But with this section over here, I want to have a rebel trench or something like that, so that's the next thing we're going to work on. So I began by laying out a small design for where I wanted the trench to sort of weave through the actual snow, and I made this up using a load of slopes, so basically it would be nice and indented into the actual ground. I know it probably should be a little bit lower in the ground compared to the actual terrain work, but I think it turned out pretty well in the end. And after this, I finished off this whole section by doing a load of different details on the front wall and then a load of pipes and stuff on the back wall, and then I just continued to raise up the slopes, curving them off at the top to make them look as natural and mounded up as possible. And then I repeated this by laying up more snow and stuff on the back wall, and then I finally went across the last bit of terrain, adding in as many tiles and plates as I needed to finish off this section. Okay, and there we go, we have finished the mock completely. I've actually got to say I'm really happy with the outcome of the mock. I didn't really know where I was going when I started this video. I kind of wanted to do a few different improvements to my 8080, and I ended up building an entire diorama, which I definitely wasn't expecting to do. The lights in the 8080 are a fantastic touch. I think they look beautiful, and they really do a good job of showing off that fantastic interior, which is personally one of my favorite parts of the entire model. The Snowspeeder design was something I wanted to build anyway, so definitely go check out Brick Vault. They're a brilliant company that sell instructions from many of the best designers in the entire LEGO Star Wars custom community, and I know I'm not sponsored by them, they're just an awesome company. If I could change this, I would slightly raise it up so I could have a bit more detail in the trench and have the trench sort of more going down into the ground rather than coming up out of the ground. But I like the way the trench turned out, and I think the details across the trench look really, really good. Definitely let me know what you think of this, and it's going to look fantastic on display in my new LEGO room. Yep, that's right, we are moving to a new LEGO room very, very soon, so stay tuned for that video. It's going to be out on the channel very, very shortly, so I can't wait to show you that. And also thank you for 40,000 subscribers. If you haven't subscribed already, I think only like 20% of you guys are actually subscribed to watch these videos. So definitely hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and leave a like on the video if you enjoyed this video, and if you did, I think you might enjoy this one right here, where I took the premise of the 4+ ATST and transformed it into a giant Endor mock with an awesome tree and loads of cool foliage. Definitely check that out if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys over there. Goodbye.